Just wanted to talk, that's all.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, and happy Devin Williams trade day. Terrence, I see you're heavily involved in your Twitter feed there trying to figure out what's happening next. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm just pulling up all the baseball savant page, the Fangraph pages. I feel like Brad Pitt and Moneyball right now the last few days. Honestly.
I've been watching a lot of Devin Williams highlights over the last couple of hours. Dude is impressive. I know he had the back injury. I mean, that's pretty par for the course, like acquiring pitchers. Anybody can get hurt at any time. Remember back in 2022 when pretty much every player that Brian Cashman traded for at that deadline ended up having surgery within like 6 months. But I really like this deal. There were a lot of teams in on him when he's right. He's one of the most deadly relief pitchers in all of baseball. I think it instantly puts the Yankees pitching ahead of where it was last year when you combine Max Fried replacing Nestor Cortez and now Devin Williams replacing Clay Holmes. You don't figure he's going to blow 13 or 14 saves or whatever it was that Clay Holmes blew. So right there, I mean, I think you're getting just better overall. Luke Weaver was somebody that the Yankees discovered was an excellent relief pitcher last year. He really turned it up a notch. Having him in the, set up 7th, 8th role, really, if he could go 2 innings, that would be ideal because he has been stretched out as a starter before, and he obviously threw a lot of multi-inning appearances this season. It would remind me a little bit of that Mariano and John Wetland combination from '96, where the game was pretty much over after 6 innings. But, sorry to see Nestor Cortez go. I liked him with the Yankees, but his last pitch was the one to Freddie Freeman, the home run.
Yeah, that's that. I kind of feel bad for him in that regard. I loved Nestor. He was a guy who loved being a Yankee. I've seen a lot of that screenshot of that tweet going around about what it means to be a Yankee, put on the uniform, and you always like that for guys that are with the team. But I love the move. I like you highlighted. It's basically going from Nestor Cortez to Max Fried, and then obviously Clay Holmes to Devin Williams. Those are definite upgrades. Can't get it twisted there. Don't forget we re-signed Loizaga as well.
Yep, forgot about that.
I haven't even seen the money on that. I don't think it's been reported.
It can't be that
I
much.
just
It really
it
can't.
can't be that much, but I know that it's a 1-year deal with a club option for the second year. So I'm kind of thinking in my head, Loizaga 7th inning, Weaver 8th inning, Williams to close it out. I mean, that's a pretty nasty 3-headed monster there at the end of the game. So you've really shortened the game with Devin Williams. Obviously, pitching health is always going to be a concern. But if they stay healthy, that 3-headed monster at the end of the game there, that really, really shortens it up. I think for pitching, they're probably just about done. I don't know if they go after Tanner Scott now that they've gotten Devin Williams.
I think Tanner Scott's off the board, man. But
Yeah,
I can see them definitely bringing back Tim Hill because he was so
yes,
nasty. And he's not going to be expensive, right? He's just like a
no,
veteran, journeyman. And for those guys, I think a lot of times just the length of the contract is better. If the Yankees offer him a 2-year deal, I think he'll take it at like any money.
yeah.
Like 2 years, $4 million a year, if that. And that's a big raise, I think. I think he probably made like $1 million this year.
Oh, no,
So
definitely. And they need a lefty, too.
they do need a lefty. I could see Tommy Kahnle coming back. He said that he wants to get signed by the holidays, which are a couple of weeks away. I think you're going to see relievers start to come off the board. We'll go to the big board real quick. I put up some names there that we can talk about as the night goes on that I think will be the best fits. Obviously, for the people who are listening, I'll just run through the top free agents and trade candidates real quick. So on the free agent side, you got Pete Alonso, first baseman. You got Walker Buehler, whose name has been thrown out there as a possible fit for the Yankees. But like Terrence said, I think the Yankees are probably done in the starting pitcher department. Unless they trade Marcus Stroman somewhere, I could see them picking somebody else up. You got Alex Bregman, who the Yankees have been linked to. Brian Hoke says it's real. The interest is real. Corbin Burns kind of lying in the weeds. We had heard all week that he could sign. Jack Flaherty obviously had some good moments with the Dodgers, also had some rough moments, but Great stuff. The Yankees had interest in him at the trade deadline. They backed out because of the back injury. Teoscar Hernandez, World Series hero, going to be, actually, he just turned 32 years old like a month ago. So he's still young enough to do some damage. Not a great outfielder, but big-time power. Obviously, Tim Hill, we talked about him. Jeff Hoffman, right-handed relief pitcher from the Phillies. Tommy Kahnle. Jurickson Profar. We've seen a lot of comments on him. Tanner Scott, I think, like you said, the price is now too high for Tanner Scott. The Yankees are probably going to focus on offense. I don't think they're out on Roki Sasaki. I really don't. They just acquired extra bonus pool money, which they used to sign a shortstop, but they have a full slate for the upcoming bonus pool period or whatever, it's international signing period. Anthony Santander, you haven't heard much about him this winter, especially not in connection with the Yankees, but obviously a beast. And Christian Walker, somebody that the Yankees have been linked to, on the wrong side of 30, but still has some good metrics. I don't know if the Yankees are still interested or not. It's kind of cooled off from what we've heard. And then trade candidates, obviously Arenado. We can talk a little bit about Luis Arias. Cody Bellinger is probably going to happen. I think that's the next move that goes down. And I wouldn't be surprised if someone else is included in that deal. We'll talk about that in a second. Alec Boehm, I don't think the Yankees are a fit for. Brendan Donovan, we'll see if the Cardinals want to unload any more players and reset a little bit. We got to remove Garrett Crochet from the list. He got traded to the Red Sox. We still got him on the list, and he is now off the list. Off the list. We got Yandy Diaz, Mr. Biceps. Ryan Helsley, another guy Cardinal could deal, but it doesn't sound like they're dead set on moving him. And then Nico Horner, who I think could be part of that Bellinger move, especially if the Yankees are expected to take on the full Bellinger salary. It's like, hey, give us something else, And then Brandon Lau, I don't know if that's realistic or not, but it would be a good fit. Jordan Montgomery, possibly. I still think that there's a deal to be made. If you wanted to move Marcus Stroman straight up for Jordan Montgomery, I could see the D-backs accepting that. Ryan McMahon seems like he's been on the radar for a while. No smoke there that we can tell. And then Luis Robert Jr. obviously is a candidate for the White Sox, but I wouldn't count him as being a trade target. He's right-handed, and I think the Yankees want to get more left-handed. So TK, of these players, especially the ones that are highlighted, how you feeling about all this?
Actually, also for Dion3318, Kim from the Padres, the Korean player, is also a free agent. So that's just like a name, an infielder. I think that's also maybe on the radar. But out of all these names, I'll tell you what, man. I know that Alex Bregman is a free agent. We need a third baseman because me personally, I think I'd rather have Jazz move back to second than play third base. But we can get back to that in our lineup. So I'm not really a huge fan of signing Bregman, to be honest with you. I don't think if Jazz stays at third, it's the end of the world. I think that he'll probably be better at that season. He's a great athlete. He made some great plays at third. I think the only thing that I worry about him there is throwing across the diamond accurately. But I'm not a huge fan of Alex Bregman, signing him just because he is 30 years old. I don't think he's really been an elite player since like 2019, that kind of era there. And I just don't think his swing plays very, very well at Yankee Stadium. I think, honestly, his swing probably plays better at Fenway than it does at Yankee Stadium, just because of the monster being closer in there. I'm just not super down for it, to be honest. And it has nothing to do with like the Astros scandal and stuff, like whatever. I'm just not a huge fan of bringing him in, to be honest with you.
That's interesting. I have a differing perspective, and we'll talk about that. We're going to go over our lineups, our projected lineups for next year. Maybe not projected, maybe like how we would go. But let's talk a little bit about the guy we missed out on today. Kyle Tucker traded to the Cubs. I heard that the Yankees refused to part with Luis Gil. I think Luis Gil would have been better than what they got, honestly. But, it's kind of like, I almost felt entitled to get Kyle Tucker when I heard he was available, and I think a lot of Yankees fans expected the Yankees to win it out. But really, the Astros were probably never wanting to deal him to the Yankees. I mean, these are two rivals that hate each other. The Yankees have been talking nonstop about their cheating for the last few years. And, these teams could square off again in the playoffs. And you don't want Tucker to beat you with a big 3-run home run into the bleachers at Yankee Stadium wearing the pinstripes. So doesn't shock me that this move didn't get done. I think it leaves the door open now because uh, uh, the Cubs have their left-handed bat for them to move a left-handed bat, and that is Cody Bellinger. I think the Bellinger move became much more likely with this.
Oh no, definitely. I think it opened the door, but I'll tell you what. I think if the Yankees were willing to include Luis Hill, I think it would have happened.
I
I
agree.
definitely think. I think I did see a report they wanted Hill and George Lombard Jr. Um, I would have done Heel, but I would not have included George Lombard Jr. It's like we're already giving you Luis Heel. I'm not going to give you George Lombard Jr. as well.
It seems like there's a
Um,
lot of teams in on George Lombard Jr. Like he could be a
yeah,
legit prospect. Like he seems like one of those guys that other teams recognize. Hey, this kid's pretty good. Maybe the Yankees should consider putting him on the fast track there.
yeah, definitely. Especially since they're going to have some infield spots open up, and honestly, he's probably athletic enough to move to the outfield if they really felt like that was a better fit. But no need for that right now.
Yep.
Um, but I would have, me personally, I felt like after losing Juan Soto, acquiring a Kyle Tucker, and I'm thinking that Cody Bellinger is imminent. So let's say they acquired both of them in this world here. I feel like that would have been a really good recovery for losing Juan Soto, to be honest with you. Um, I know that Kyle Tucker, this is my theory. Kyle Tucker is a rental. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. I don't really know what the Cubs are doing. Like, are you trying to compete? Are you not? I feel like it's possible if they're out of it, they deal him at the deadline and we can revisit it then. But
Maybe.
I don't think that they lock him up. I think Kyle Tucker looks at what Juan Soto just got out in the open market and he's going to test free agency.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think he's a $500 million player now because of the Soto
Yeah.
deal. Because he's every bit the player. He's just not quite as young, right? So I
Yeah.
think he's going to get that kind of money.
And he's not old. I think he'll be 29 when he hits
29.
free
Yeah.
agency. So it's not like he's really that old. My thing is just like they did the Soto deal and they were probably looking at it like we just dealt Michael King and we lost
Yeah.
Soto. Are we going to deal Louis
Right.
Seal and lose Tucker? I think they probably got some cold feet with that. But I
Yeah.
do think it would have happened if we were willing to give up Hill.
So let's talk a little bit about the remaining spots that need to be addressed. So at first base, we have several options. We could go with Bellinger. We could go with Christian Walker. We could sign Pete Alonso, which I don't love, or we could go with the kid, Ben Rice, who, showed some flashes this year. Didn't get it done. By the way, we've got Jason Voorhees in the back. Happy Friday the 13th to everyone except for one guy. At second base, we've got Jazz Chisholm possibly moving over, Nico Horner. There's a possibility. I wonder if Gleyber Torres coming back, like if moving Caleb Durbin, if that opens the door for Gleyber Torres to come back because he hasn't had any suitors. The Phillies were interested possibly in him to play third base, but he said no. He said no to moving to third base when the Yankees got Jazz. So it just doesn't sound like he wants to play third base. Maybe he can't handle the hot corner. And that's a position where you got to have really quick reflexes. He doesn't strike me as a quick reflex guy. Like he's kind of like, moves at his own pace. There's other options. I mean, Peraza or Cabrera combination. I could see that at second base. Third base, obviously, your two big options right now are Jazz or Bregman. There's also Arenado could be moved. I don't love the Arenado trade, even though I think he's still pretty good defensively. I think his days, I think he's on the DJ LeMahieu trajectory where offensively he's just going to keep declining. Once you get into your mid 30s, and this is what worries me about Walker too, in the modern game, we got everybody throwing 97, 98 miles an hour. You lose a little bit of that reflex time in your mid 30s. That's all it takes to knock you down 15, 20 points in batting average, 5 or 10 home runs. So, I mean, I still like Bregman. And then left field, obviously, you got Bellinger also an option there. Jurickson Profar. There's been talk of bringing Alex Verdugo back. I don't think he comes back, but there has been some discussion about it. So, I mean, that's really where we're at. And I think it's time to now move on to TK's lineup here. And TK, I want you to walk us through which way you decided to go as we take a look here. I'm going to move on to TK's 2025 Yankees lineup.
All right, so it's gonna see. I don't know. We'll see how everything is gonna be interchangeable and movable, and this is not what I think the lineup's gonna maybe end up looking like. It's just maybe the direction that I would go into. So for me, I have Nico Horner being included in the Cody Bellinger deal. And I think the reason for that being is that they seem very unwilling to eat some salary on Cody Bellinger. So for me, it's like you got to throw in Nico in there. Now, Nico Horner's a guy who, if you look on the Savant page there, he's a great base runner. He's a really good fielder. He doesn't hit for a lot of power, only like, single digit home runs most seasons, but Wrigley Field, it's kind of tough to hit homers there. I think he maybe steals a couple more at Yankee Stadium, but he is more of like a pull power hitter. So we'll see about that. But he is a great fielder. He slots into second for us, and he does not strike out a lot. And our lineup has a lot of guys who do strike out a lot, which I'm not a huge fan of. So that's why I would like Nico. He could lead off. I think that he could hit lower in the lineup as well, but I have him as lead off here for right now. But I think he would be a pretty good leadoff hitter for us, but he doesn't walk a lot, interestingly enough. For a guy who puts the ball in play a lot, he does not walk a lot. Obviously, then we got Cody Bellinger. I have him in left here.
I agree with
I
that.
think that for me, Kyle Tucker was the move, but we obviously lost out on that. So now I have Cody Bellinger going to left field just because I would like to avoid putting Jason in left. I think that Kyle Tucker, I'm sorry, I
Agreed.
think that Cody Bellinger would be great in left field. He's a great center fielder. Left field in Yankee Stadium is quite big. I think that he'd be fine out there. Then obviously Judge. I got Jason in the cleanup spot. Now I know that this is maybe I think maybe people will feel like putting a kid in the cleanup spot behind Judge is a lot. Me, I think that the expectation for the Martian is to be like a phenom sort of player. I think that he probably profiles well to hit in the middle of the lineup, either in the 5 hole, the 6 hole. I have him in the cleanup spot there. I think Jason is somebody who's going to hit, dare I say, 30 homers,
I agree.
Derek.
I agree.
Yeah,
100%.
so I think 30 home runs is on the table for Jason Dominguez, win Rookie of the Year, and really kind of announces himself. The Martian has landed, if you will, as a premier player in New York. Then I got Austin Wells in the middle of the lineup there, Stanton right after him. I like Jazz in the 7 hole, and then I went with Rice at first. The only reason I went with Rice at first is that to me, Christian Walker being 34 years old, I'm just like not super into it, spending the money on him. I think he's a good player. I looked at his Savant page. He hits the ball really hard, but he strikes out a lot. Guys, we have a lot of strikeout guys already. And I'm just kind of okay with giving Ben Rice the run here and seeing what you have. Why not? See what you have. If he sucks, then I think that first base would be on the table at the deadline. Let's say Kyle Tucker is available at the deadline because the Cubs aren't in it, then you trade for him and you put Bellinger back at first. You see that? So I feel like you could also address the outfield maybe later on in the offseason and put Bellinger at first. So right now I have Rice at first, and I think that's fine. And then Volpe rounding it out. Maybe he takes another step forward and slides into that leadoff role. He did for a little bit this past season because of the really hot start, but he kind of ended up cooling off a little bit. But I think as a player, his profile would be a really good leadoff guy for us, and that's what I got.
Not bad, not bad. All right, let's get to my lineup because I've got a lot of similarities, but just a couple of differences too. So I'm going to call it up here, and I might have, yeah. So I've got Rice also at first base. So my lineup goes like this: Dominguez leading off in center field. I like the speed. I like the patience. I think he's a really prototypical leadoff hitter once he becomes accustomed to hitting in the major leagues. Bellinger, I got hitting second, playing left field. Aaron Judge batting third in right field. And then Alex Bregman. I'm going with Alex Bregman at third base. I know you have some concerns about him being a little bit too old. He's just 30 years old. He's battle tested. Honestly, like I wouldn't prefer to bring in somebody from that Astros team, but when Soto left, beggars can't be choosers. And by the way, I'm not sure if you saw my hoodie here. Let me just move my mic out of the way. I kept the Juan Soto hoodie, but I had to redesign it. I drew a little X with my marker, like in Major League 2.
You gonna trademark that?
The FU shuffle. So I've got Bregman at third base. I've got Austin Wells batting fifth at catcher. Stanton batting sixth. I think it's interesting we both moved Stanton out of the cleanup spot. I just want bombs. I don't need him. Like, I don't think he makes enough contact anymore to hit in the cleanup spot. Back when he was MVP, I think he hit like 280, and he was that kind of hitter. Now he's more of like a 240, 230 hitter. To me, that's more sixth hole, and 25, 30 home runs out of him next year. Probably miss a month with a hamstring pull or a calf pull or whatever. Just show up in October, baby. That's all we need.
Yep.
And then I'm moving Chisholm back to second base. Volpe remains my shortstop, and I'm also going with Rice because you got to go with youth somewhere, just to protect the budget a little bit. And it's good to have some young kids. I think ninth hitter, first base. I like his swing for Yankee Stadium, and I think he'll get better with reps. So that's what we have. And I'm sure people will chime in either way. I also like the idea of Nathan Lau if Christian Walker signs with Texas, and shout out to Doug Rao, who brought that to my attention. Texas really is talking to Christian Walker. If that move happens, that opens up Nathaniel Lowe to get traded, and I think the Yankees will be all over that. Let me just go ahead and pull up Nathaniel Lowe, so we can take a look at his StatCast numbers. This is a guy who hit 265, but a 361 on base percentage. So that's not bad. 762 OPS. It's not amazing, but a left-handed hitter, 29 years old. I think that will improve at Yankee Stadium. Look at that walk percentage, 97th percentile. Bat speed, 73rd percentile. He hits the ball about league average in terms of his exit velocity. Everything else pretty much average, but he's a good fielder, 80th percentile. He's an above-average base runner, barely 53rd percentile. Look at the spray chart. He hits the ball line to line, so you see shots like those hard line drives to left field. I love that. He's got power line to line. He's got home runs to left field, to center field, to right field. Let's go ahead and click on a dinger. This is a home run with Josh Smith on base, former Yankee. We'll take a look at this, and booyah. I mean, that's a swing for Yankee Stadium if you've ever seen it. So I'm a proponent of Nathaniel Lowe if the Yankees can somehow pry him away from the Rangers. But I'm okay going with a rookie over there if you're able to improve at third base. I'm not opposed to your plan of bringing in Nico Horner too. I like him. He doesn't hit for a lot of power though, and I do think that the Yankees want to add more power because they're losing 41 home runs. They're also losing Gleyber Torres' power, which is about what do you get? About 15 home runs this year. So you got to look at replacing about 55 home runs in the lineup. I think you're going to get 20 probably from Bellinger because he's going to play in Yankee Stadium. He's going to have access to that porch. I think you're going to get an extra 30 or so from Dominguez, but you got to subtract from Verdugo's total there too. That's like 10 home runs. So you're back down to 40. And then maybe you get 5 or 10 more from Austin Wells, right? So Bregman, he'll give you 15, 20, 25, anywhere in that range, depending on, how he does at Yankee Stadium. I know it's not like it doesn't match his swing very well because it's deep and left. He doesn't have a lot of opposite field power. But I think if you put the right puzzle pieces in place, you can sort of make up for Soto's power. You're not going to make up for the on-base percentage that much, but Nathaniel Lowe could be somebody that improves in that area too if you go out and get him for first base. So your thoughts on my lineup?
No, yeah, I like it. And I'm definitely down for Nathaniel Lowe, especially if Christian Walker ends up with Texas. I think that's a very real possibility.
Hang on, timeout. We got to call out. I like to call out the dumbest comments that we got here. Humble Life says, "Get rid of Wells." Oh my goodness, that is one of the worst takes. The guy finished third in the Rookie of the Year voting.
Smoke crack.
Put down the crack, my friend. Put down the crack.
That's
crack
tough.
is whack. All right, continue with your point, good sir.
My question to him would be: if we get rid of Wells, who's catching?
Right, Trevino. I mean,
Yeah,
he's a dangerous left-handed bat who, for about 2 months last year, was on fire. He was hitting cleanup when they got to the playoffs because of how well he hit in the. And that is an all-time. Then there's booze, man. An all-time bad take.
All right, but anyways, I like your lineup. I think that I understand the direction you're going in with Bregman in terms of the power. For me, after losing, I gotta get over Tucker because he's with the Cubs now. But I'm just saying, like that really put an enormous black hole in my plans, just because I don't really like what's out there now, especially in the free agency pool. Like I feel like a lot of it is gonna be declining players and overpay. Alex Bregman's a good player. I just don't think he profiles well at Yankee Stadium with his swing. I think the power is going to drop there. I feel like the average has kind of declined pretty steadily over the years. He's a good fielder, and he's definitely a pain in the ass, and he has a little bit of that edge. But I just don't think that I'm wanting to spend. What do you think he's going to command in AAV? Like 30 million?
Yeah.
So like I don't know if I want to drop 30 million on Alex Bregman, to be honest with you. I'd rather save the money and wait for Kyle Tucker to be a free agent and give him 500 million.
Let's
Honestly.
let's talk a little bit about Luis Arias, because the San Diego Padres are open to trading him. My buddy Brett, shout out to Brett, messaged me a little while ago. He's a Padres fan, and he kind of gave me the lowdown on Arias. Said he's a terrible, terrible defender, and you can see that he's in
Yeah.
the third percentile of fielding run value. What you can see is he's actually under league average in batting run value, despite being a great contact hitter. He hit 314 this year. He hit 354 the previous year, 316 the year before that. He's obviously got a great spray chart. He squares up the ball. He doesn't have a lot of bat speed, but that's by design. He's trying to make contact. Honestly, I wouldn't go very much in trade value for him. Like in terms of like, if they want to give him to us for practically nothing, like some minor leaguers who weren't going to be on the team. I'm not trading a Spencer Jones. I'm not trading
No.
anybody big for him. You want
No.
like our number 10 prospect? Yeah, I'll take a rise and
Dude,
he can play second base and
15.
hit leadoff. That solves that problem.
Yeah. No, I love Luis Arias, but yeah, he's a terrible fielder. That's why he's a better hitter than Nico Horner is, but Nico Horner is a far superior defender than he is. And they kind of are a similar kind of hitter. They don't hit for power, they hit for average, and yeah, they're not the same fielder. They're not the same defender. I sacrificed a little bit. I guess the one thing Arias has is that he's a lefty and Nico is
Yeah.
not. But I love Luis Arias. The guy is just a machine. I think my dad says he's not as good as Tony Gwynn is, but he's like the closest thing we have to Tony Gwynn in today's game, with a guy who
Yeah.
just is just hitting like constantly. So I would be interested, definitely, but I'm not giving you like a top 15 prospect even. I don't even think San Diego gave up all that much to Miami for him.
Yeah. I don't remember what the trade package was. We got a question about Oswald Peraza. It doesn't sound like the Yankees are in love with Oswald Peraza, because every time he comes up, he sits, right? And when they
Yeah.
have opportunities to send him down, they send him down. So I'm not sure if he's ever going to really get a shot. Sounds like they've been trying to tweak his mechanics in the minor leagues. Didn't have great numbers at AAA this year. But TK, thanks for joining. I'm going to get to voicemails. Let's say goodbye and bid adieu to Terrence Cam, our West Coast host with the most. Appreciate it, my friend. Hopefully we'll have you back on if we get some breaking news here, and we'll keep talking about what's next for the Yankees. Let's move on over to your voicemails. All right, TK is out of here. All right.
What's up, Derek? This is Jake from Connecticut. Often viewer of your show. You do an incredible job. I was listening to the guys over on Yankees Unloaded, and they said something really interesting that I would love for you to dive into if you have the time. They looked at the Max Fried deal, and the signing does a lot for the Yankees in the next 2 years. They gave him a $20 million signing bonus, $10 million in January of this year, $10 million in January of 2026. And for the next 2 years, on their books, it's going to be a $12 million expense. So instead of costing $27 million like we think, it's 12 on the books for 25 and 26, then $29 million thereafter. So it leaves a lot of flexibility.
So I'm going to stop you right there. Those guys are incorrect about how AAV is calculated. Now, what's actually on the books might be 12 million or whatever it is. But the way that AAV is calculated towards the luxury tax, which is all that the Yankees care about, because they have almost infinite money in reserves, right? They don't care about the signing bonuses or when you allocate it. They care about not paying other teams by going over the luxury tax. And the way the luxury tax is calculated, it goes by the average annual value of the total contract package, which is going to be $27.5 million. So, unfortunately, those guys are mistaken.
Hey, Derek. Obviously, good trade for Devin Williams, but kind of sucks we missed out on Tucker. But, I wanted to bring up the possibility of maybe he's a trade deadline target. I mean, I don't know why the Cubs think they're going to be a favorite. I mean, the Brewers are good. I really think, he could be available at the deadline, but I think even if you don't think you're going to get him at the deadline, I really think we should get Jurickson Profar. I mean, he could play third, he could play second, he could be a really good left fielder, he's a switch hitter. I don't know where you'd put him in the lineup. I don't know where he hit on San Diego, honestly, but I think he'd be a good fit, for the Yankees and just a replacement for Tucker, whether that's for the season, half the season, or if he doesn't come to the Yankees at all. But love your opinion.
I reject that he's a good outfielder. If you look at the fielding run value, he's in the 9th percentile. I have heard that he's a glue guy in the clubhouse, which means that the clubhouse loves him. He's a good guy. I had heard the opposite, and I was mistaken, about a week ago, but I've had some conversations since then, and apparently he's a really good guy in the clubhouse. Now, he did put up a career year last year, 280, 24 home runs, 10 stolen bases. And one thing that we know about Jurickson Profar is that he was a top prospect, like a number 1 or 2 prospect in baseball at one point. And Brian Cashman loves to go out and get those guys. Remember Rougned Odor? Same situation. These guys who used to be a top prospect, Cashman loves to feed on those guys when they become available and try and unlock whatever the thing was. Now, maybe he already unlocked it. Apparently, he also had kind of a down second half, but he's good at avoiding strikeouts. He's good at drawing walks. Like you said, a switch hitter, so that could help. But the problem is Yankee Stadium. Like you'd have to play him in left field, and really you need a center fielder type skill to play left field. The same reason you couldn't play Juan Soto out there in left. So that might be handcuffing the Yankees a little bit, who are trying to improve on defense in a number of areas.
Hey, Derek, this is JL from the Bronx again. Question, what do you think maybe looking into or taking a flyer on Brian De La Cruz? He's a free agent left fielder. If we might have an idea of maybe sliding, Dominguez's natural position in center field. Judge can go back to right. But what do you think about Brian De La Cruz? Maybe taking a one year, maybe 1 year with an option, see how it goes. Because he was up and coming. I mean, in Miami, he was pretty decent. And I don't know what happened when he went to Pittsburgh. But I want to know what's your opinion on that for the Yankees. Thanks again.
I honestly have not seen him play much. He hit just 233 this year with a 655 OPS and just a 271 on-base percentage. His on-base percentage has never been good. Back in 2022, it was 294. In 2023, it was 304. He did have 19 home runs. But honestly, he seems like the Gleyber Torres of left field. So, Pasadena on that one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully we'll have some news breaking here. Reminder to like and subscribe. We are over 45,000. We're closing in on 45,400. We've added like hundreds and hundreds of subscribers over the last couple of days. We are the official Yankees podcast of the Foul Territory Network. So follow not only Pinstripe Territory, but all the other Foul Territory Network podcasts. And hopefully we'll be back with some news later on, either tonight or this weekend. But I really believe that the Cody Bellinger deal is close, and it'd be interesting to see if they're able to get Nico Horner as part of that deal. But watch for Mr. Brian Cashman to get creative as the Yankees try and figure out the post-Juan Soto era. By the way, Juan Soto packing on the LBs since he went to the Mets. If you saw the pictures of his press conference, man was packing a gut. So that's not a good sign if you're a Mets fan. But I put on weight in my early 30s too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like and give us a subscribe. It helps other Yankees fans find the channel. We're also on all your favorite podcast platforms and social media. Join the community, have some fun. We're here after every game. This is Pinstripe Territory.